Hey folks, I thought I'd take you through my process of how I use Asana as the lazy issue tracker. This has actually come up a couple times with coworkers, and then it actually just came out today with a client. And so this is the method that I use for some of my cases, and I thought it might be helpful because, as you know, as much as we want to be perfect project managers, doing all of those different tracking can like truly suck the life of us. So this is the path forward that I found that's made my life a lot easier. Real quick, this is good for situations where you have a lot of like one-off tasks, especially if they're coming to you via like written communication through like email or Slack or something like that. So, for example, because I work on a lot of projects that have different needs, I've used this as kind of like a low-key way to keep track of support questions, like as login issues or pieces like that. I've used it to help with like code resolution. So when somebody reports a bug or an issue, I used it to kind of track the cases with that. And I've also used it for kind of like funds distribution tracking. So if I'm sending out payments for a particular client and I'm working with a bunch of different users who might be getting stuck in a process. So all cases where I have a lot of these like one-off tasks that are piling up, have a workaround for yourself that's really flexible. It's not good for folks who are like having really advanced use cases. So if you are like a support like staff of like 20 and you are, managing a whole thing, you could probably do this in Asana, but it's probably best for you just to like get something that is more dedicated to your niche. This is a really great way of starting off though. And it's also not good if you like hate Asana, which I don't know why you're here if that's the case. So I'm going to assume if you're watching this recording that you already have an idea of how Asana works. If not, there's a lot of really great tutorials out there. I won't bore you recreating what other people have already done far better than me, but I'll tell you how I basically set up my issue trackers. So I always have an inbox because, as I said and kind of referenced before, I do link this up with my email and with Slack and with other systems so that I can pull things in directly from where I'm getting them. And then I tend to have a completed section. Now, this is all going to change depending on what types of issues that you're tracking. So, for example, when I was using this issue tracker for tracking issues with like code that we were doing, I was tracking like I had a whole section that was just for edits, like requested changes that were coming through. So really that will depend on what you're looking through. There's some good templates that Asana has for so many different use cases. Where we start getting into what I consider the best practices for using an issue tracker in Asana is make sure that you start assigning categories. And you can start really broad and then hone in more. So in this case, in this example, I took one of my volunteer opportunities where I work as an editor for a literary journal called Exposition Review, shameless plug. And so kind of breaking down like common issues that I see from people who email into the journal. So like technical issues versus somebody who's like withdrawing a submission because they got accepted elsewhere. And so the nice thing about having categories is that this helps you become more efficient and spot areas where you are getting a lot of issues coming in, or maybe there's a problem that you can't see until you start categorizing the issues and spotting common patterns. This becomes even more helpful because within the dashboard, Asana's reporting is not always like the most robust, but this is something where you can go through and like edit. So for example, in here, I can edit by the custom field, the category that I put together. So I can see common issues across all of these different things that come in. So that'll get pushed into the dashboard. So you have real-time updates about like, oh, we have a lot of people with technical issues. And if you click into that, then it'll take you to all of the different tasks where you've had those technical issues. And you can say like, oh, you know what? We've had a lot of people having trouble like logging in. Maybe we should go back and like give some more resources to folks to remember their passwords or what have you. So like that's where this gets really helpful. And in fact, sometimes I'll even add a secondary category. And this is really simple. This is one of the things that's like the blessing and the curse of Asana is that it's so adaptable. So I'll do either a single or a multi-select depending on like what types of issues that I have coming in. And then if I already have like a main category, I might have a focus area. So like, let's say under the technical issues, I say like login, and then maybe like upload fields, and let's just say like lost email comms. So then we can even drill down further once we're in technical issues and like track which are login areas. So this helps you like save yourself time eventually, because you'll start to see the patterns of what's costing you and what's causing these issues to come in. You can also use the priority tracker. Feels pretty straightforward here. I don't always use priority personally. It depends on what types of things that I am trying to do. But what I do recommend when you set priority is be clear to yourself and your team about what that priority means to you. So for me, a lot of times, like if I'm using priority, that means if it's in high, then I need to fix it like in less than a day. Or it might mean that like work is blocked completely. Whereas a medium priority might mean, okay, we've got a workaround and I need to fix it in a couple weeks. What that priority level means to you might change depending on what kind of work you're trying to get done. But that is something that is very important to be able to get through. And you can expand and you can add like so many more different like fields depending on the types of things that you need. My advice would be start simple, because the more fields you add in, the more you have to fill out every time that you're trying to add things to your issue tracker. So start small, make it a habit that you're using it, and then add complexity. Okay, but my favorite part about this process is the way that Asana links in with your Gmail, Outlook, Slack, etc. So basically, get the Gmail like Asana add-on, or they've got it for Outlook, whatever email. I'm sure they've got it as well. And then once you have that, it adds in this addition here. So when you click into an email, you can create a task and update it and attach it to your project. And create that task. I highly recommend syncing future replies to this task, because we'll see how cool that is in the future. Also get the add-on for like other applications as well. So you can like add it to Asana from like Slack. So I really love this aspect. So how that shows up is that we can see my test from Slack just came in. And when I go into the description, we're able to see like the link to the original Slack message. So if I click on this, it'll take me into that Slack thread, plus like the main message that come through. And if you're coming from emails, this is the one that came from my Gmail, and you're syncing the replies, then we're able to show like, well, this is going to look messy, but you can see all of the emails that are coming back and forth. So this is super, super helpful for me, because a lot of my clients tend to have like a complex back and forth where I think we've like solved the issue or I need additional information. And so I'm able to add this information in and track all the messages going forward, so that if somebody responds back to me, so I just sent myself a new email, I can scroll down and see that that information has come through. So this is where it starts to get really powerful. You do have to enter in this other information by hand. However, if you're savvy with Zapier, you can set up some automations so that like when something gets pulled through, you don't have to do this manually. So there's a lot of flexibility here, but I won't go into too much complexity. You can also set up some rules so that like when you sign something off as complete. So for example, so there's a built-in rule. So when a task sent is complete, I want to move it to the completed section and publish that rule. Then when I finish something, it will automatically move it from my inbox into that completed section. So lots of really cool stuff that you can do to expand upon this. But this is really like the overall. So I hope that was helpful. That's how I manage my projects. And yeah, let me know if you use something like this, if you found it useful, and how you use Asana or anything else to help manage our project management stuff.